Welcome to episode 7. If you've just joined, I'm Maria at Maria the Arcane on Instagram and Robyn at A Tired Witch on Instagram. And thank you for being here and welcome to our podcast.
Yay! Welcome, everybody.
Yeah.
So if you guys are new with us here, every week we talk about the upcoming lunar phase and what that kind of means for us. So the full moon coming up is the full moon in Saggitarius, which will be on June 5th, which is a Friday. And there's a couple of things that we're seeing with this full moon. The first part of it is kind of a bit of a problem. Not really a problem per se, but a problem given the changes that are going on with the world and kind of this shift back to, I don't know, reality again. You know, businesses are opening up and people are going back to work. And the full moon in Sagittarius is very adventurous and energetic and free-spirited. And you might be wanting to be like, yeah, everything's opened up. Let's run out. And the problem with that is if we all do that, what was the point of quarantine in the first place? So definitely get out there and definitely be adventurous, but do so in a safe way, please, guys. Maybe go camping somewhere super remote.
Yeah, especially if you're in the South where we reopened way too early. I mean, a lot of us are still staying in because no one's wearing masks. No one's doing anything.
Yeah, just, you know, definitely own that adventurous side, but please be safe, guys. Like, you know, we're all responsible for our own actions, and those around us we can't be so responsible for. So practice adventuring in a safe way. Wear a condom, guys.
Take a trip to the living room. Take a trip to the bedroom.
Sexy. No, this is not our horniest episode ever. We're not doing this again. The other side of the Sagittarius full moon is that Sagittarius is ruled by Jupiter, so you might find yourself more emotional than usual at this time, particularly if you are somebody who has menses or, you know, menstrual cycle. And a lot of people who have menses, they have it around the full moon. So if you're already, you know, somebody who's late to the full moon because of your menstrual cycle, and then on top of that, we have this full moon that's more emotional. Yikes. I feel so sad for you. It's going to be a lot, guys.
So much fun.
But the upside of that is because we are feeling more emotional, it can also be a great time for divination and tapping into our intuition. So you might find yourself seeing the truth in everything, and that's a positive. So although it's a bit of a roller coaster moon, like I'm sure you guys are going to be just fine as long as you are aware of the shortcomings.
Yes, I'm so excited. I love the Sagittarius moon, even though it makes me want to go travel and do things, and how it's not possible at all right now. But
it's not possible at all, but it definitely is going to take some creative brainstorming.
I'm going to watch movies on Europe. That's what I'm going to do.
Get one of those VR glasses and then sit on the couch and be like soaring over California and Disneyland. That, and you're just like, wow,
my favorite ride.
I'm in Napa Valley.
Have some aromatherapy going.
When they spurt the oranges at you, and you're just like, it really smells like oranges. I secretly live for that ride, and I make my husband go with us every single time. Like, yeah, squirt me in the face with that pine smell. Let's do it.
It smells so good. Every time you walk off that ride, you're like, wow, I feel amazing. Let's do it again. Every podcast, we pick a random card to talk about. Hearing others' opinions on cards helps us extend our views and maybe even help you find something that resonates with you. So this week, we're going to talk about the Fool. And I know you probably have thought you've heard it all because everything starts with the Fool. If you start like a tarot podcast, you're going to hear about the Fool first. You start a book, you're going to hear about the Fool first. And even if you haven't finished the book, you've at least know all about the Fool. But hopefully I may include some things you may not have thought about before. And also, we will be talking about the world the next podcast, and I'll explain how those are tied together. So, yeah, definitely listen to the next podcast too.
That's clever.
I try. But okay, so the universal meaning of this card is about fresh starts, new beginnings, and that if you approach this adventure with a sense of optimism and a sense of lightheartedness, anything is possible. Now, my views are somewhat the same, and to me, it shows that we have started a new journey by making some big changes in our lives. These changes were most likely endings, and we have left things that are no longer serving us. These things are monumental things like leaving a relationship, finishing college, or even like wanting to get your life on track. Or the card's just telling you that you need to. But so our Fool, he's holding like a knapsack. And in this knapsack, I always like to think that he's carrying knowledge from his past experiences with him and bringing it with him into the future. This is so he won't repeat the same mistakes he's already made and carry on this new path he's created in a safer manner. The Fool is such a whimsical figure. I mean, very theatrical. And I really see that as a sign for us to approach the time ahead with excitement and hopefulness. Let your optimism show. And I see the dog, because there's a dog by his feet on this card, as like a playful figure, reminding us how important our inner child is and the act of playing. So try new things and try to keep an open mind when heading forward into your new journey. We don't know what is going to happen to the Fool next, so we just have to hope that, he and ourselves have the knowledge that we have packed. I hope that the knowledge that we have packed and our optimism will see us through. So what's your opinion, Robyn, dear?
I love the Fool. I love the Fool because he reminds me of children.
Yes.
When you see, maybe not when kids get a little bit older, like school age, but especially toddlers, where they're not afraid of anything, they just do it. Like, oh, I want to get that cookie off the shelf. Of course, I'll drag this chair over here and put a box on it and climb up this thing to get up on this unsafe ladder to get the cookie, right? Or climbing to the top of the tallest tower or whatever at a playground. Kids don't have that ingrained sense of fear or failure. They just do it because they want to. And for lack of a better term, society and age and everything else hasn't worn them down to be afraid of things that, maybe logic and reasoning would hold you back from. And the Fool to me is that. It's that fear. It's being fearless and just saying, you know what, I can do this. And it doesn't matter, what anybody else thinks. I've totally got this. And not only have you totally got this, but you do actually. Like, it's not just in your head. Because you are so like free and not inhibited by just everything around you, that even if you don't have it right away, you'll keep going and you will get it. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that totally makes sense.
It's just being totally like fearless and confident and knowing you have it no matter like what anybody else thinks and no matter what anything else is going on around you. And I love it. I love the Fool so much.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, like, self-belief plays such an important role in our life. When we think like something's going to fail and we just go, oh, I'm going to fail. I mean, you're kind of like manifesting it So going into something like, I'm going to do it, I might fail, but it's going to be okay. But I
The
think that's
Fool
good.
to me is also more of a witch's card than the Magician, because
Oh, really?
yeah, because think about studying the occult or being Wiccan, which whatever spiritual path you align yourself with, right? It involves a fringe lifestyle that people are like, what the fuck? Like, why do you do that? That's dumb, right? Yeah, well, it's dumb to you, but to me, it makes perfect sense. And you know what I mean? And so, like, it's one of those situations that you're doing it anyway, even though people around you might think that that's stupid or dumb or whatever. But it's like, that's
I love
their opinions,
that.
not mine.
Yeah.
And so, even though the Magician is obviously like a witch card, I think the Fool is more so, and I think it's nice.
Yeah, because he doesn't care what other people think. He's himself.
Exactly.
Like, he doesn't care.
Exactly.
I love it. Love it.
We love it. We love it so much.
So, this week, our main topic of discussion we're going to talk about is predators and the witch community. It is predators. Predators. It's so unfortunate that these groups of people infect the community, and like many people think, oh, they're not out there. Oh, but they are.
Oh,
I mean,
they are.
There are like so many different types. I mean, a lot of them can be alt-right, skinheads, and like incredibly sexist.
Proud Boy pagans.
And yeah, Proud Boy pagans.
I feel like one of those horror info things. Somebody's talking and there's just like a graphic on the screen. Predators in your area.
Love it. That's so funny. Well, we originally meant to talk about this earlier in the season before the virus, due to it being upcoming witchy festival season. But with the virus, we decided to talk about other things since it really wasn't prevalent. But the thing is, though, these predators are even online and on social media, and they try to hook people that way. If that makes sense.
It's obviously, at least in my experience, been more often when you're actually like going to things. But that doesn't dismiss the fact that this exists online as well. So we just kind of wanted to talk about some red flags to look out for, guys, because these sort of people prey on people that are new in their path. So maybe don't know, too much about the social norms. And young people, and a lot of our listeners, thank you, Spotify demographics, are people that are 18 to 22. So even if you have been practicing for a few years, you're still in that target audience. And so we want to talk to you guys about this.
For social media, I feel like there's a lot of people who see witches as a kink. And there are so many who are extremely aggressive about it and leave like lewd comments and DMs. Now, there's nothing wrong with kinks, obviously, but there's a big difference here. Shaming. I am not a sex worker. I have so much respect for sex workers, and obviously it's not my line of work, and my page has nothing to do with it. And consent is so important. And obviously, if the person you're speaking to is married and happily committed, obviously it is not okay for someone to, say something like that. It is okay to leave suggestions, comments, or messages. It is the same thing as catcalling someone on the street. It isn't okay, and it isn't a compliment. And a lot of people like, oh, this person is, finds me attractive and stuff like that. And you end up talking to them and they turn out to be like a total creep.
Kinkster.
But some of these predators can sometimes also set up cult-like institutions where they put themselves in leadership positions under the guise of teaching magic, or even like religious institutions. They may be very pushy, and there's like someone who's always considered in charge, and unfortunately most of the time it's a man who surrounds himself with like femme figures and
that's not a coven, it's a cult.
And if festivals do open up this year and it is safe to go, please, 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 please go in a group and do not wander anywhere alone. From a personal experience, I was leered at and spoken to in a very loud and suggestive manner by a group that were wearing like alt-right pagan gear, then followed me around. If this happens to you, please go up to someone in charge and let them know. While these bad people are around, you better believe there are loads of good people at that festival who will step up to help. But yeah. What do you have to say, Robyn?
The main thing is that consider it like searching for a coven, right? It, especially in Wicca, old coven formats used to have, and I can't speak for certain if it's still happening, but you'd have a high priest and a high priestess. And sometimes there would be sex magic involved, right? Where,
yes.
especially in the old days, it would be like how you had to sleep with the high priest or whatever. And although that maybe still happens in some covens, that is not, don't believe people if they tell you that that's how it is, that's how you have to do it. No, you can go find a coven that does not make you have sex with anyone at all, period. Like, don't ever think that that is the normal. No matter what they tell you, you are hearing it here. No.
Yes.
They also will do things where some of them will ask you for money or kind of be very dismissive and, oh, let me take you under my wing, all that. The main thing is trust your intuition. And if it doesn't feel right, like, get out of there. It's a cult.
Yeah.
It's a cult. It's call your dad. I think that's from My Favorite Murder. I'm quoting that from My Favorite Murder. Please don't come for me, guys. But there are so many red flags, and especially when you go to these events, you will find people that are specifically there to find somebody to prey on, to, quote, invite them to their coven when really they're inviting you to a cult.
Yeah. And under the guise of teaching you too. Like, they'll be like, we'll teach you.
Give us money. Have sex with us. Da, 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 da. Like, it's a cult. There are plenty of amazing events that come out of these things. Like, I know our friend Trisha goes to drum circles and stuff like that in her area after festivals. All that exists and is valid and is amazing. Use good judgment. And if you want to go to something like that, bring a friend or two. So even if you're like on the fence and you're like, I've been invited and I don't really know, go ahead and go. But tell someone where you're going. And if possible, bring a friend or two, because you don't want to get in a situation where you feel like you have no option but to do what they say. It's really like we were talking about earlier with the adventuring in the Saggitarius Full Moon. Just use caution, guys. Be safe. Be protected.
Can I say an unpopular opinion? Or
I mean,
be
go
popular.
for it.
We'll see. I like, if there is a coven at a festival actively looking for people, I feel like it's a coven, not like, go a drum circle. It's a red flag, because
it's a red
you
flag.
need people you can trust and know. If you're joining a coven, you don't know anybody and you don't you have no reason to trust them. That's like,
now if you can make friends obviously there, and then they happen to say, oh, this is my coven, would you want to come? That's one thing. But if a coven is specifically going to a pagan festival to recruit people, big red flag. Huge. 100%. I don't think that's an unpopular opinion. I think that is 100% friggin' weird, man. Like, no.
Especially if they have flyers. I've seen flyers.
Yeah. Like, what the fuck? Because even if they're not like predatory, like they're gonna like sexually assault you or something crazy like that, if they have flyers, there's a money tier system involved in that, and they're going to be taken from you some other way. Like, your coven should be something that you lean on and rely on and makes you feel safe and makes you feel like you have an inner circle that you can grow with. And there's people that are going to be below you knowledge-wise and above you knowledge-wise that you can either help or get help from. And together you work as a unit to, produce something magical and wonderful. It should not be treated like one of those crazy Baptist churches that have like the fucking lights and the big screen TVs and they're going, Jesus. You should never feel like you have to give these massive amounts of money. That's predatory, like absolutely
people
not.
Taking advantage of you.
It's
100%.
No different than the people who, the youth groups that come to high schools with their donuts going, hey kids, want a free donut? Let's talk about Jesus. Like, it's predatory. It fucking weird.
100%. Just follow your gut. Like, like a lot of people think joining these groups and learning through them is like a magic pill and all of a sudden you're going to know everything there is to know about magic. That's not true. You're still going to have to do the work. You're going to have to learn. It's going to be a time thing. Just because you're joining a group, it doesn't mean all of a sudden you're going to 100% know all there is to know about magic.
Right.
It doesn't work that way.
There's lots of places that are groups that require a fee, right? Let's say that it's because they have an internet platform that needs to be covered, or they've got I don't know, let's say the coven meets up at a rec center and the rec center costs money. So everybody's got to pitch in a little bit. But there's a difference between paying somebody to cover like nominal fees versus you give me, $100 a week or you give me 5% of your paycheck. Like, these are cult behaviors. Just use caution, use good judgment. And there's a massive difference between a monthly fee of $10, $15, $20, $25 versus literally giving
half
them
of your paycheck.
Large portions of your paychecks. And you guys might be listening to this and going, that doesn't happen. Yes, the fuck it does. The problem is, not only does it happen, but you are so deep in it when you realize it's happening that you realize you're in a cult and there's nothing you can do. So let's just avoid it in general.
Steer clear. So, Robyn, what is stirring your cauldron this week?
Oh, I'm so glad you asked. I am obsessed with fairy circles, and not just any fairy circles, but I went down an internet rabbit hole of these Namibia fairy circles, which are like the opposite of what we think of when we think of fairy circles. So a traditional fairy circle is a ring of mushrooms, right? And they, even though there's a bunch of folklore attached to them, obviously thus the name fairy circle, there is an actual scientific understanding of how they happen. Basically, it's like they find a dead area, typically a place where like a tree was or similar, and there's like this tubular sort of connection between these specific mushrooms, and it's to evenly space them out. And that's how the fairy circle happens. It's just something that the mushrooms do kind of on their own, right? The Namibia fairy circles are these arid grass formations. So there'll be desert grass like in this area, right? And it will be dead circles in the grass. So it'll be a perfect circle of just dirt. And it forms naturally, and they have no idea why it happens.
That's
unlike
crazy.
The fungus fairy circles, these Namibia ones, they don't know why it happens, and there's like a bunch of kind of guesses, scientific hypotheses, but none of them have been proven. And they think that it might be like these, what are they called? Sand termites, but they don't know for certain, right? And the places that they're found, there'll be like 100 of them in like one desert field or whatever. Like, you should look this up. It's the craziest thing. And there's like all these conspiracy theories about aliens and like the Fae and like local lore and stuff like that. And it is truly the most fascinating thing. I went in a whole like hour-long internet search just like looking at these, trying to see, like, I kept being like, yeah, but someone's found out why it is like. And I know this isn't particularly witchcraft related, but fairy circles are so, and the Fae are such a huge part of witchcraft for a lot of people that I thought it was so interesting. When you actually Google fairy circle, the first thing that comes up is not mushroom fairy circles. It's the Namibia like desert fairy circles. And it blew my whole mind because I never even heard of these.
I mean, I had never heard of them until you brought them up.
It's crazy. like if you Google it,
and they're gorgeous.
They're gorgeous. They're so friggin' beautiful. And if you look them up, so if you look up fairy circle, the first thing comes up is the Namibia fairy circle. And then you have to define a fairy circle, the mushroom one. It's called fairy ring, parentheses, circle, which is weird because I never heard of it as a fairy ring. So maybe that's just like a regional thing. Yeah, because I never heard of it called a fairy ring. Yeah, and
I might be mistaken, but I think fairy rings are more European way of saying it. Probably. I might be mistaken. Do not like be like, you're wrong. I am saying I may be. So don't at me, people.
All of a sudden you have like one person swimming in. Well, actually, it
happens.
But yeah, there's just like a shit pot of controversy around these fairy circles, and it's so friggin' fascinating because it's basically like the opposite of like life forming to make a circle. It's like life dying to create a circle.
I love that, honestly. Like, I feel like magic-wise, for like dead spots like that, I mean, that means you could put all your energy into that circle. So like, if you're doing like spell work or something like that, like, I think it'd be good.
If in the places where they are, there'll be like 300 of them. Like, and just spread out. Cool. And there's been all this research, and it's like some sources say that like termite casts. So, like, I don't know what that is. I'm assuming it's, like, something that they shed. I'll be honest, guys. I'm not a bug person. But they've been found in, like, something. I think they said 75% or 80% of these rings. But then other places, there'd be, like, a whole field of these fairy circles, and there'd be no termite evidence found.
That's so strange.
And it's so weird. So there's this huge, like, controversy between like what is creating it. Is it termites? Is it not termites? Is it, one of the theories was that it was like a radar thing, like they had done like a nuclear radar issues or whatever, and it was creating some sort of reaction to the land.
It seems very weird for South Africa though.
Well, for sure, but still interesting. So I know that's not necessarily like, traditionally witchcraft related, but I still thought it was interesting.
You're not supposed to step in a fairy circle, right? You're supposed to leave it alone.
Yeah, I don't think so.
Yeah.
I don't work with the Fae,
Yeah, I don't work with the Fae. I do leave forest spirits like offerings and stuff like that, but
sure.
Our forests in South Carolina are so dense, so the chances of finding a fairy circle is like slim to none. So I like have no reason to look it up.
We go morel mushroom hunting here. Granted, we haven't done it in like a year and a half, but yeah, we go morel mushroom hunting, and The last time we went out, we were like all over the forest, like everywhere looking for these mushrooms. And I've never seen one, like a fairy circle, not one time. So, and our forests aren't that dense. So, yeah, I think it's just like an English thing. Or maybe it's not. I don't know. You guys let us know. Do you have fairy circles near you? Do you live in Namibia? And have you seen one?
We want to know. Please tell us.
Yeah. So I just thought that was so crazy interesting because it's literally the exact opposite. It's the like taking away life.
I want to go see.
Me too. I love
deserts. Deserts are so beautiful.
I do not like deserts. Yeah. They're very hot and I'm very fragile. But I like them as like a visual concept. I do not deal with the heat well.
I don't deal with humidity. I can do dry heat, but you put me in humidity and I'm gonna pass out.
Well, sure, I can do it.
And here I am in South Carolina.
I can do it, but no thanks. No, I'm not a fan. I don't like the heat. I'm very fragile. I get hot and my hands and feet swell. It's like a whole thing. Oh, anyway.
Poor baby.
Anyway, fairy circles, guys. Wow. But seriously, go look it up. I want you guys to tell us what you guys think that it is, because I'm actually very interested. This is why I wanted to bring it up. I'm very interested to hear what other people's theories are on this, because I was in such a hole with it. I'm dying to know what you guys think.
Yes. Same.
So, Maria, what's not stirring your cauldron this week?
So, what is not stirring my cauldron is this mentality that magic has to be harder than it actually is. A lot of witchlings and like new witches fall into this trope that each spell has to be this huge ritual. I'm talking like casting a circle and having all these like barefoot Contessa herbs at your disposal and making this like huge, like hours and hours of huge undertaking basically. But like that isn't the case at all. While huge rituals can be undeniably gorgeous and powerful, it doesn't have to be the go-to for every single spell. And especially like it does not have to be done often or even like seriously, not even at all unless you want to. And obviously, you know, there are some people who are more than happy to just subscribe to this way of thinking and carry on and have long-lasting practices. But I can tell you, 100% of these people are the exception. Like, most of us cannot, like, continue on that path and have sustainable practices. Like, especially with how crazy life is, like, your magic would be your number one thing for every single day of your entire life. And that's just unrealistic.
It's a quick way to burn out too.
Yeah. Most of these people think they have to do these things. They will get burned out so fast and feel so overwhelmed with their practice. They end up quitting early on. I mean, yeah. But
it's, you know, I'm sure it's an accidental happen chance that happens. Wow, happen chance that happens. Come on, Robyn. But it's accidental that people maybe give off this vibe or this idea, but it is really easy to get sucked into it and think, oh God, I have to do this and I have to do that and I better get my, you know, pebbles out so I can make my stone circle. And I mean, I'm not going to sit and pretend like I don't do that, but I definitely don't do it every time. It's maybe once a month. Maybe.
Yeah. Most of my spells are legit. Like, take me 10 seconds. It's something as simple as like stirring my coffee a certain way and saying an intention over the coffee. It's lighting a candle on my altar and being like, this is why I'm lighting it, you know? The thing is, like with practices, we want to create lifelong sustainable practices. It's like a lifestyle change. Like, let's say you're starting to get healthy and stuff like that. If you're like not eating enough and you are like, eating way too healthy where you're not letting yourself indulge here and there, and then like you end up quitting like this healthy lifestyle that you wanted to go after because you're like, I don't know, it's just,
you set the standard in the bar way too freaking high that it's impossible to keep up with. And that, you know, everybody does that on occasion by mistake. Don't beat yourself up. Like, it's okay. And realistically, you know, shake it off and let's move forward.
Yeah. And as I said, spells can be super simple, and that's okay. It doesn't make them any less like powerful or anything. It's just, you know, and then also don't feel like you have to like cast a circle for every single spell you do. As long as you are in your sacred space and you feel safe where you're at, like let's say that you're home, like you love your home and you know it's protected because you do, you know, you do threshold stuff, like you lay salt and like cinnamon at your doors. That's what I do personally. But you know, you have
myself,
an amazing energy in your home. You'll have an amazing energy in your home, so you can trust your home. You don't have to like do these crazy things in order to set up spells. Don't burn yourself out.
Yeah, don't. Just like the don't burn your house down witches, don't burn yourselves out witches.
Oh, I love that. That's so cute.
I'm just like, what can you say? Just come up with like really great little quips, just whenever.
Yeah. Twitter that and then post it to your Instagram, because that's a thing right now.
Twitter. I'm a 57-year-old woman. I'm going to sign everything ex Robyn. Including my Facebook statuses.
Love Robyn. I love it.
Just like every week, we have a little section at the end here for creators that we are loving right now. These are people that we are just finding organically on our own, and we think they're pretty cool. That being said, these are not paid for ads. These are not people requesting, so please don't ask. Let us just find stuff organically, and we will be sharing it as we find it. We think you guys will think it's pretty cool. So, what's our first creator this week?
So, I've been following Nona Limmen. Lemon. I probably said that wrong, but on Instagram for a while now. Yeah, we will. As you guys know, I'm a photographer, so I always have like a deep, you know, appreciation for like great photographers, and they are such a great photographer who takes stunning witch portraits. They are so creative, and I get like all the magical feelings by looking at them. She's been doing this like portrait series with witches near a bonfire, and they're like dark and gorgeous. Like the eyes are all glowing because of the fire, and it's just, oh, I love it. And like it makes me want to pull out my camera and do some portraits. So I love photographers who like inspire me to do that.
I'm very into their color palette as well. It's like reds and purples and grays, and it's very like
things that you wouldn't think that would work, but they work.
Yeah.
It works.
It's like sunset is the color palette, and I'm a color palette freak. Like before I even like go into like decorating a room, I'm like, but what's our vibe? Like, what's the color palette vibe? And like, that's the art kid in me, right? Hi, art school dropout. Nice to meet you. But I dig the color palette that they use, and just the entire vibe of it is really nice. It's very dark, but also warm. And I like it. I like it so much. Plus, they play a lot with lightning bolts, and I think that's pretty cool. It's fire, it's lightning. It's like all the uncontrollable parts of nature is a huge key element, a theme that they consistently repeat.
Yeah, like, I don't know. I want to take pictures like that. They're so pretty.
You can't take pictures like that.
Oh no, I
You're
have like my
talented
own
too.
like little
We all have our strengths.
my little style. Yeah. They're just so much like I would get so many prints from them and like put them up on my wall because
Yeah. Yeah.
beautiful.
I didn't even think about that. Do they sell prints?
Let's see. I have it up. They do have a website and it says
So
prints and
probably.
products available.
Ooh,
Yes.
all
so
right.
they do
Well,
have them.
color me convinced.
But yeah, you guys should definitely check them out because
They're beautiful.
they'll inspire you to go do some spell work and to make you feel powerful and like anything is possible.
Yeah.
So, Robyn, what are you digging?
I am digging this. I mean, I'm sure a lot of you guys have seen them if you follow me on Instagram because I share their stuff all the time. It's Dirtwork Ceramics. I found them on TikTok originally like 6 months ago, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And they are a ceramic artist who does teacups and mugs and stuff, but also practical use witchcraft tools. Like they make this, it's like a sage holder or just any kind of cleansing wand holder, I guess would be more appropriate to say. If you have a smoke cleansing wand, it's basically a crescent moon on a dish that you can lean your herb wand onto while it's smoking. It's the coolest thing I've ever seen.
Ugh. I love it.
They have a teacup where what's it called? The little strainer you put your loose leaves in is shaped like the triple
strainer,
moon.
Right?
Yeah, it's shaped like the triple moon. And the full moon has got the holes in it so you can strain it through. Just so freaking cool, man. I have a really big mug problem.
Yes, I do.
If you know anything about me, guys, you would know that I have a problem with mugs worse than my tarot card problem. And my husband wishes I didn't. He makes me get rid of two every 6 months because I buy that many that it doesn't make a dent.
No,
it's fine. Like it'll be ones that have chips in them or like, you know what I mean? I have to either get rid of them or retire it. So retiring it means that it doesn't get used anymore and will go on like a top shelf. So I don't need to get rid of it, but I need to stop putting it in circulation. Which is fair because I buy so many.
Yeah. I have so much respect for like ceramic artists because creating ceramic like pieces is so hard and so difficult. Like the failure rate is so high. And so I don't know just how much work goes into these like little coffee cups of art.
It's crazy.
Like
it's crazy.
It is crazy. It's crazy. And her designs are like gorgeous.
Stunning.
Like, stunning. Oh my God.
Stunning.
I want them all.
She has a series that has like nebula prints, I guess, or like I guess space sky. Maybe not, nebula might not be the right word, but it's really freaking pretty. And I'm just like,
little Milky
I will take
Ways,
10 of
right?
those. Yeah, Milky Ways. See, girl, I was close.
You were.
I was close enough. But yeah, they're really pretty. And she does a lot of like not only mugs, but just practical stuff that you could use on your altar. Offering dishes, incense holders, herbal wand holders, etc. And they're all super pretty. And yeah, you guys should definitely look them up.
Agreed.
We hope you guys will join us on June 12th for our 8th episode, which we will have another guest on. Keep your eyes out on our Instagram and on our Twitter. If you're not already following us there, it's Coffee Cauldrons for more information.
Or even better, joining us on our Discord level tier for which is First Coven on Patreon, so we can answer questions on our second half of our podcast for next time.
Which you will hear our lovely voices for an additional 30 minutes for being in that Patreon tier. You just need to be library or up.
Again, This is Coffee and Cauldrons.
With Robyn from A Tired Witch on Instagram.
And with Maria from @Maria_the_Arcane on Instagram.
All right, you ready?
Okay. Yeah, let's do it.
One, two, three. Bye, witches!
Bye, witches!
Oh my god. We're gonna get this eventually.
One day.